right? You see the Chinese readout calling the call very practical, constructive, and positive. Well, that's a very high mark from Beijing's perspective. So I think what has led to this phone call is the deal that the two sides have negotiated over TikTok in Madrid over the weekend. So for the two leaders to have a phone call, we know that they have to have something to agree to or something to announce. I think TikTok paved the ground for that. And of course, everyone is thinking about the same question. A talk is a technicality, but people are focused on the prospect of a leadership summit somewhere in October, November. Now we know that they're going to meet on the sideline of APEC, which for the Chinese is not as good as a state visit to Beijing, which they originally hoped for. But now Trump make it clear that he is hoping to visit next year. I think we are counting on that the trade negotiation will run their positive result to pave the ground for that visit.
Tell me about the TikTok deal, because we've heard that it may end up being owned by Oracle in the U.S., and the Chinese may agree to that divestiture, currently owned by a Chinese company. Your thoughts on how this is going to play out? TikTok, hugely popular. The suspension of it has been delayed numerous times by President Trump. And of course, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with TikTok.
Well, it looks like if the deal is going to go through, and it looks like it
undertaking massive transformations of our economy. Plan Mexico, Canada strong. Our efforts will be strengthened by working together.
Mexico and Canada want to do more on two fronts. First, work together to save North America-wide free trade by coordinating strategies for next year's review of CUSMA, the trade deal that replaced the original NAFTA 5 years ago.
How do we eliminate these tariffs that we both face prior to the end of the year so that we can have a fruitful discussion on the USMCA future beginning in 2020?
flashpoint over free speech. The polarizing reaction after Jimmy Kimmel's show is pulled off the air.
You can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office.
He was fired for lack of talent.
And exploring what Canadians can say in their workplaces. Also, what the FBI director said about suspected terrorists entering the U.S. through Canada. What happened when we asked the agency to back up its claims. And a tiny town reels in a huge win. How a lucrative lottery changed the fortunes of a tight-knit Quebec fishing village.
Not in a million years did I ever even dream of coming here and doing this.
Good evening. The man who vowed to bring back free speech to America at his inauguration this year is putting broadcasters on notice tonight. Donald Trump floating the idea of removing their licenses if what they air is critical of him. The U.S. president's comments coming a day after Disney indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel's show for remarks he made in the wake of Charlie Kirk's killing. CTV's Heather Wright starts us off with the fallout.
Tonight, protests outside of ABC headquarters. The reaction to Jimmy Kimmel being pulled from American airwaves as polarized as the country's politics.
You can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office.
While Kimmel's comments have been slammed as unfunny and untrue.
There's a very concerted effort to try to lie to the American people.
The controversy also stems from what Kimmel said on his show Monday night.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Jimmy Kimmel went on to criticize Donald Trump's mourning of Kirk, pointing to the president's answer when asked how he was holding up.
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
In response to the comments, the chair of the Federal Communications Commission issued an unsubtle threat to ABC and its affiliates, implying broadcast licenses could be at risk if they did not take action against Kimmel. Nexstar, an owner of ABC affiliate stations that is trying to merge with another group and will need FCC approval, was the first to yank Kimmel. ABC followed suit shortly after, while another company, Sinclair, demanded an apology from Kimmel in a donation to Kirk's organization. Today, Donald Trump doubled down, saying broadcasters risked their licenses if hosts criticize him, but downplayed concerns about freedom of speech.
You can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
ABC's decision to suspend Kimmel is not the first time a U.S. network has acquiesced to pressure from the White House. CBS settled a lawsuit over a 60 Minutes interview that coincided with a merger between its parent company Paramount and Skydance. CBS has also announced plans to cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, a move the network says was a business decision. Today, former President Barack Obama slammed the decision, accusing the Trump White House of taking cancel culture to a new and dangerous level.
And while Jimmy Kimmel has not been officially
for us to talk not just about the tariff dispute that's underway, but also what are we going to be able to do to deepen our bilateral relationships with each other. We've spent way too much time ignoring each other. Now it's time to do more.
President Sheinbaum said she wanted to strengthen maritime trade with Canada. Mexico is in the middle of a huge renewal of its infrastructure, including airports, seaports, and rail. But the Mexicans are concerned that Canada's ports aren't big enough to handle the volume of trade.